one of the things that I say to people, I heard somebody say something similar to this one time. I recommend people write everything in your life that's been bad, the things that just, terrible things that have happened in your life, write those on one side of a piece of paper, and then turn it over, and on the other side, write the very best things. If you're writing the worst things on one side, write the very best things on the other side. Okay? So now when you're done, look at those two lists, and then ask yourself, as you look at the best things that have ever happened, how many of those best things would not have happened, or very likely may not have happened, if not for some of those things that you listed on the worst things side. I mean, your conversion to faith in Christ would be on your best list, and it may very well be that horrific things went wrong in your life that led you to that point. And so that would be on the bad side. In our case, we would have to say, what are some of the worst things that ever happened to me? Well, being sued by different abortion clinics for peaceful, nonviolent civil disobedience. 1990, them coming to garnish my wages so that I had to resign from church ministry. I had helped start a church 40 years ago this month, and was a pastor there for 13, 14 years, and then had to resign. Could no longer be a pastor because a percentage of my wages, 25% of my wages every month, were going to go to an abortion clinic, and they were going to use it to kill children. And so had to resign. Could only make minimum wage for what I thought would be the next 10 years, but they got the judgment renewed, so it was 20 years. 20 years, you can only make minimum wage. You can no longer be a pastor. You may not be able to afford to send your kids to the church school that they've been going to, that they just love, this Christian school. You probably will lose the house that you're living in, all these things. It might actually be taken by an abortion clinic. Now, none of that looked good when it happened. But within a year, we started to see all the good that was coming out of it. And I won't go into a lot of detail. We didn't end up having to take our kids out of the school. There was an anonymous donor that paid their tuition. We did fine on the minimum wage. Our ministry that we started was Eternal Perspective Ministries, that I'm still part of, was able to provide a used car that we could drive and cover the insurance costs on that, and we were able to, do different things, and we did fine. That was historically how that situation happened in terms of us giving away the royalties from the books, because it looked possible that the abortion clinics could take that money. So I said, okay, well, let's just give it all away. Well, then, after 10 years, when it looked like we were going to be out from under that judgment, then our ministry board said, well, okay, the books are selling well, that money should be yours, so now you can take it, and they can't garnish your wages. And so after 10 years of that, we said, no, wait a minute, this is all going to these kingdom causes. So Nancy and I talked about it and prayed about it. We said, no, we don't want to take it. We want it to all be given away. And then a month later, they got it extended another 10 years. That was the grace of God to us, even in that hard situation, because we knew now that we were deciding we wanted to give all that money away. We weren't just protecting it from going to an abortion clinic. We wanted the joy and the pleasure of giving it away. So out of bad things come good things. I could go on and on, which I won't, about the wonderful, terrific things that came out of what was a very dark and bleak situation. Sitting in a courtroom for a month and having abortion clinic workers sit on the stand and lie. Just lie. And then it hit me. They kill children for a living. Lying is no big deal. I mean, think of the one in John 8 who Jesus described as a liar and a murderer from the beginning. Lying and murdering go right hand in hand. You saw it in the Holocaust. I mean, in order to pull off the murders, there's the lies. So this is the nature of evil, but we have a God who overcomes evil. In Genesis 50:20, Joseph and his brothers, you intended it for evil, but God intended it for good. Not merely God took the mess that bad human choices made and made the best of it. You intended it for evil. God intended it for good. Whoa.